Imagine a machine that could change the economy of a country in a matter of years. A machine small enough to sit in a room. A machine built to solve one simple problem. And yet, once it appeared, it helped make cotton one of the most important crops in the American South. Its inventor was Eli Whitney. But his story is not just about a machine. It is also about money, invention, failure, slavery, and a young man who believed that a difficult problem could be solved with a clever design. In the late 1700s, cotton was already known in America. Farmers grew it in small amounts, but there was a serious problem. Cotton had seeds. And removing those seeds from the soft cotton fiber was painfully slow. A person could spend an entire day cleaning only a small amount of cotton by hand. For farmers, this made short staple cotton difficult to produce in large quantities. Then Eli Whitney arrived in the South. He did not know that a machine he built to solve a local problem would become connected to one of the biggest economic and social changes in American history. Whitney was born in Massachusetts in 1765. As a boy, he was curious about how things worked. He liked tools. He liked machines. And he had a talent for making things with his hands. His father was a farmer and blacksmith, so Whitney grew up around practical work. He learned that a machine did not need to look impressive. It simply needed to do its job. But Whitney wanted more than farm work. He wanted an education. He eventually entered Yale College and graduated in 1792. After college, he planned to become a teacher. Instead, his life took an unexpected turn. Whitney traveled south, hoping to find work as a tutor. During the journey, he met a woman named Catherine Greene. Greene was the widow of Revolutionary War General Nathaniel Greene. She lived at Mulberry Grove, a plantation near Savannah, Georgia. Whitney accepted an invitation to stay there. He arrived in Georgia in 1793. At first, he was simply looking for work. Then he heard about the cotton problem. People were growing cotton, but cleaning the seeds was so slow that producing large amounts was difficult. Whitney watched the workers. He saw how they pulled the seeds from the cotton fibers by hand. It was repetitive work. It took enormous amounts of time. And Whitney began to think about the problem in a different way. Instead of asking how a person could remove the seeds faster, he asked something else. Could a machine do it? That question changed his life. Whitney began studying the cotton fiber. He looked at the seeds. He examined the way the fibers held onto them. He thought about moving parts. He thought about how a machine could separate the two. Then he began building. The first versions were simple. They were made from materials that were available nearby. The basic idea was clever. A rotating cylinder carried small wire hooks through the cotton. The hooks caught the cotton fibers and pulled them through a screen. The seeds were too large to pass through the openings. So the fibers moved forward while the seeds stayed behind. A brush then helped remove the cleaned cotton from the machine. It was a simple mechanical process. But it worked. The difference was enormous. A person cleaning cotton by hand might remove only a small amount of seeds in a day. The machine could process far more cotton in the same amount of time. For the people around Whitney, the machine seemed almost unbelievable. A problem that had required hours of human labor could now be handled by a machine. The device became known as the cotton gin. The word gin came from engine. Whitney had created the machine he hoped would make cotton processing much easier. But success brought a new problem. People wanted the machine, and some people wanted to copy it. Whitney and his business partner, Phineas Miller, received a patent for the cotton gin in 1794. They hoped to make money by controlling the machines and charging cotton growers to use them. But protecting an invention was difficult. Copies appeared. Some people changed small parts of the design and claimed that their machines were different. Others simply copied the idea. Whitney spent years fighting over his patent rights. The machine was being used, but the inventor himself did not become as wealthy as many people expected. This is one of the strange parts of Whitney's story. He created a machine that became extremely important. But making money from the invention was much harder. And while Whitney was dealing with legal problems, something much bigger was happening. The cotton gin made it far easier to process short staple cotton. That mattered because this type of cotton could grow in a much larger part of the American South than the longer staple varieties that were easier to clean by hand. As processing became faster, growing cotton became more attractive to plantation owners. More land was planted with cotton. Cotton production increased, and the demand for enslaved labor increased with it. This part of the story cannot be separated from the machine. The cotton gin did not create slavery. Slavery had existed in British North America and the United States long before Whitney built his machine. But the rapid expansion of cotton production helped strengthen and expand the system of slavery in the American South. More cotton meant more land was needed. More land meant more labor was needed. And enslaved people were forced to provide much of that labor. By the early 1800s, cotton had become a major American export. The crop helped make plantation owners wealthy. It helped connect southern farms to textile factories in Britain and the northern United States. And it became deeply connected to the American economy. For the enslaved people who worked the cotton fields, however, this growth meant something very different. It meant harder labor. It meant more plantations. It meant families being separated through the domestic slave trade. It meant a system of forced labor becoming larger and more deeply established. Whitney could not have known the full scale of what would follow from his machine. He had been trying to solve a mechanical problem. But inventions do not exist outside society. A machine can change what people are able to do. And people decide how that new ability will be used. That is one of the most important lessons in Whitney's story. The cotton gin was an important invention. But its effects were not simple. Meanwhile, Whitney's own life continued. After years of legal battles over the cotton gin, he moved toward other work. He became interested in manufacturing. He wanted to improve the way machines and products were made. At the time, American manufacturing was still developing. Many products were made by skilled workers who built individual parts by hand. Whitney became interested in producing parts that were more standardized. His work with firearms became especially important. He received a government contract to produce muskets. According to the famous story, Whitney demonstrated the idea of interchangeable parts by showing that parts from different guns could be used together. The exact details of the famous demonstration are debated by historians. Whitney's factory system did not instantly create modern mass production. But he did help develop ideas about standardized manufacturing and organized production. The basic problem was familiar. If every part of a machine had to be made separately by a highly skilled craftsman, production was slow. But if machines could make standardized parts, manufacturing could become more efficient. That idea would become increasingly important during the Industrial Revolution. Whitney understood something simple. A machine could do more than perform a task. It could change the way the entire task was organized. Years earlier, he had seen this with cotton. Now he was trying to apply similar thinking to manufacturing. His work was not always successful. He faced financial problems. His factories experienced difficulties. And he continued to deal with the challenges that came with large manufacturing contracts. But the ideas remained important. Whitney died in 1825. He was 60 years old. By then, the cotton gin had become strongly associated with his name. But the machine's impact was much larger than the inventor himself. Cotton continued to spread across the South. New plantations appeared. Ports such as New Orleans became major centers of the cotton trade. American cotton became an important part of the global textile industry. Factories in Britain depended heavily on raw cotton. The United States became one of the world's major cotton producers. And the system of slavery became increasingly tied to that production. By the middle of the 19th century, cotton was so important to the Southern economy that people sometimes called it King Cotton. But behind the wealth was human suffering. Millions of enslaved people worked in the cotton economy. Their labor produced wealth they did not control. Their lives were governed by violence and forced labor. Families could be separated. People could be bought and sold. The growth of cotton did not bring freedom to the people who produced it. It brought greater pressure on them. Eventually, the conflict over slavery became one of the central causes of the American Civil War. So when people remember Eli Whitney, they often remember a machine. A wooden frame. A rotating cylinder. Tiny hooks. A screen. A brush. A simple idea. But behind that machine is a much larger story. It is the story of how technology can change an economy. It is the story of how one invention can solve one problem while creating new consequences. And it is the story of how inventions are shaped by the societies that use them. Whitney himself was not the only person who contributed to the development of cotton processing. Earlier machines and methods existed. Other inventors improved cotton processing technology after him. And the cotton gin did not make cotton farming effortless. Workers still had to plant, grow, harvest, and transport the crop. The machine simply made the most difficult part of processing short staple cotton much faster. That was enough to change the economics of the crop. And that is what makes the story so interesting. Sometimes history does not change because someone invents something completely new. Sometimes history changes because someone makes an old activity much faster. Before the cotton gin, cleaning cotton was a serious bottleneck. After it, that bottleneck was greatly reduced. The result was a dramatic increase in cotton production. Whitney had looked at a simple problem and seen a mechanical solution. That way of thinking would become common during the Industrial Revolution. Factories would use machines to increase production. Manufacturers would search for faster methods. Standardized parts would become more important. And mechanical systems would change how people worked. Whitney's story therefore belongs to a larger history of invention. It is a history filled with people who looked at ordinary problems and asked unusual questions. Why does this take so long? Why does this part have to be made by hand? Can a machine do this? Can the process be made simpler? Whitney asked those questions about cotton. His answer was a machine. But history gave that machine a meaning far beyond what he expected. Today, the cotton gin can seem simple. There are no computers, no advanced electronics, no complicated software, just moving parts working together. Yet that simple machine helped change American agriculture, manufacturing, trade, and society. And it reminds us that technology is never only about the machine. It is about people. It is about the choices people make. It is about who controls the technology. It is about who benefits from it. And it is about who pays the price. Eli Whitney wanted to solve a problem. He succeeded. But the story that followed was far more complicated than he could have imagined. His machine helped turn cotton into a major industry. It also helped strengthen a brutal system that would eventually tear the United States apart. That is why the story of Eli Whitney is worth remembering. Not simply because he built the cotton gin, but because his life shows us something important about invention. A new machine can change what is possible, but it cannot decide what is right. That decision belongs to people. And sometimes, the most important question is not, what can this invention do? It is, what will people choose to do with it?